before going to the latest news, what is your understanding of what has happened so far?
Oh, just another fraud, another charade. The memorandum of understanding has already been deep-sixed by Israel, which the country, its two most important war leaders, the war minister and the minister for national security, have said that they totally reject this memorandum of understanding and that they are an independent country and they're not affected by any agreement the United States makes with Iran or anyone else. And they announced that they intend to continue their occupation of their conquests in southern Lebanon, which they describe as of great importance to Greater Israel. And they continue to relocate the population. And they give no indication that they are going to curtail their expansion further north. As every important Israeli for a long time has made clear as day, Lebanon is part of Greater Israel. And now that the Israelis, with the connivance of Trump and the rest of the world, has incorporated Palestine into Israel, they're now beginning on Lebanon. And of course, they have now part of Syria. And they have declared they have no intention of removing themselves from the parts of Syria that they occupy, because Syria is also part of Greater Israel. So we have an agenda in operation. As I have stressed before on this program, Nima, the only country in the Middle East that has an agenda is Israel.
Yeah.
And therefore, Israel clearly is in the driver's seat, even though they have, I think, more than met their match in the Iranian military capability. But the Iranians are severely handicapped because they don't have an agenda. Their agenda is not to fight, to have peace, to make a deal. They're kind of like Putin, who's been fighting a 5-day war for 5 years.
Yeah.
So there's no longer even a memorandum of understanding, because the Iranians were insistent that the memorandum of understanding with the United States involved the Israeli ceasing of military activity in Lebanon. And the Israelis have flatly refused, unequivocally, to do that. So there's not even a memorandum of understanding, and I don't understand why the Iranian government hasn't already denounced the memorandum of understanding. It may well be that what we are witnessing is the Iranians locking themselves into a 79-year takeover by Israel, like happened in Palestine. You may remember the two-state solution. The two-state solution, we heard about it for 75 years, 79 years. And of course, the outcome is the disappearance of Palestine. The Israelis have announced that they now have 70% of Gaza incorporated into Israel, and they're going to have 100% and they've announced that there will be no more Palestinian settlements left on the West Bank, as they have moved in there and are absorbing the tiny remnants of the West Bank. So the Israeli agenda is still in motion, it's in process. Trump has never acknowledged it. Neither has the rest of the world. The Arabs never acknowledged it. And so far, not even the Iranians. So it's the only operative agenda. So as long as it's the only operative agenda, we have to sort of give it the credibility that it's likely to succeed. I can't hear you.
Yeah.
Before coming to this live, Netanyahu just mentioned this, and he denied that Israel is gonna. He said Israel is not gonna withdraw from Lebanon. He said what we did in Gaza, we will do in Lebanon. Here is what he
Exactly.
said.
Well, that's
Just
what
like
I
we
just reported.
secured, the south of Israel, we will secure the north. We will secure the north. And he added, sometimes I do not agree with Trump. Therefore, Israel will not do whatever it takes to maintain its own security. There is some sort of disagreement between the two administrations, it seems, with the New Deal, with this new MOU, Memorandum of Understanding, between the United States and Israel, which I don't believe it. They talking about it. I don't believe that the United States or not the Trump administration would have any sort of upper hand when it comes to Israel. Stas, what is your understanding of that?
Look, the Israelis in this case are a parasite state that's about to go from being on the skin of the U.S. into nudging itself right beside the heart of the body. Because you've got absolute national traders like Tom Cotton, who are planning on. It's not enough that they're going to get into the procurement system and the weapons development and thus the secrets, any of the secret development system of the U.S. They're also I mean, Tom Cotton's trying to push him in to get him into the satellite intelligence, full intelligence, basically. There's talk about U.S. is going to start paying Israeli veterans salary or pensions. I mean, at this point, Israel is it's got the U.S. right there, and it's squeezing hard. The only thing that can stop that is a collapse of the U.S. economy, which is coming. Which is nobody's put it off. If nothing, Israel is just accelerating it. The problem for the Israelis is they can't survive without having a host that's willing to die and bleed and die for them. The Indians seem to be lining up to be the next host, which is beyond me why they would do that, but they have no Christian Zionist heretics in their ranks. They have no dispensationalism. They do have a lot of Christians, but they're mostly Orthodox Christians. Particularly in southern India, there's well over 60 million people, Orthodox Christians. So that it's mind-boggling why they would do that. But the U.S., as long as the U.S. can feed Israel, and that's a problem too for Israel, because even among young Jews, they're looking at the reality of what Israel is, and they're turning away from it. And as for the average American, as his lot in life gets worse and worse, and it's going to get worse, there's still the concept of why are we feeding a foreign state, and feeding it quite a bit, including not just Ukraine, but obviously Israel. That's why they're passing the laws from one state to the next and on federal levels to ban any criticism of Israel as anti-Zionism or anti-Semitism. That it's like saying you all the Germans had to serve Hitler. Otherwise, they're if you criticized Hitler, you were anti all Germans, which is just as ludicrous. Just using a different state, but when it comes to Israel, for some reason, that makes absolute sense. The point is, the United States government is bought and paid for. It's been that way for several generations. Absolutely bought and paid for. Israel just happens to pay more than. Well, and that's the funny part. Israel is not even paying its own money; it's paying American money back to as a big laundry scheme back to American politicians, which, by the way, Ukraine does the same thing. So, the question is how long can the U.S. economy handle this, and what happens when it crashes? Because no matter how many times you tell people you can't criticize the money we're giving away to another state, when those people are hungry and they're broke, they're going to get very angry. They're already angry. They're going to get much more angry, and food prices are only on the rise. Inflation is not temporary; it never really is. The U.S. has continued to print money left and right. Interest rates are going up, so it's going to have to buy or monetize its own debt, which is only going to cause even more inflation, which is only going to cause interest rates to go further up. It's a debt cycle. So what happens after that? I don't know. I don't think Israel by itself can't survive. Not in the mode it's in right now. I mean, these people are something to understand about the Chabad the Chabad crowd. So Chabadism, for those who don't know, that's basically the religious wing of Zionism. It grew up in the southwest of the Russian Empire back in the late 1800s, mid 1800s, in what today is Western Ukraine. And they're, by the way, building colonies back in Western Ukraine with armed guards that Ukrainians can't go into. Just like they're doing in Cyprus, just like they're demanding the Aegean Islands, at least part of the Aegean Islands from Greece. I mean, it's an insane expansionism. But they believe that Israel has to be on such a brink of almost death from fighting everyone that it'll force God to come down there and kill off all of its enemies, and the Messiah will come. Except the Messiah they're waiting for is not a heavenly Messiah; they're waiting for an emperor that's going to conquer Greater Israel for them. And if you look at some of the more whacked out people, Greater Hazaria is something they also want, which would include everything in the Caucasus and into through southern Russia and into central Ukraine. Some of these maps these people draw, they're not based in. You can tell they're psychologically not based in reality, at least not in the reality we live in. But these are the people that are in charge of this country. These are the people that are in charge of the people that are bowing down in the U.S. And this is the mess that the U.S. has gotten itself into. And we see Trump is absolutely owned. I mean, beyond any doubt, he's owned.
Yeah. Paul, I think what the main point in what Stas just said is how the United States, how Israel without the United States would behave. Do you see any sort of sign that the United States is getting away or trying to separate itself from Israel anytime soon? We know that the new section 224 in the United States about merging the two militaries, it's one of the signs, in my opinion, that Israelis and the Zionists in the United States are afraid of the future because they see something is happening within the society. That's why they need to officialize the cooperation or the merge, they need to merge the two militaries or to cooperate, intelligence, everything together, because so far they did the same thing. But right now they need to officialize that. What is that? And how do you see Israel without the United States? Is that going to happen anytime soon?
First, let me compliment our new friend on the many valid points he made. He's very perceptive. I would take exemption to only one, and that is his assumption that the American people will have anything to say about it.
Yeah, there's that.
It doesn't matter that they might eventually catch on. I mean, the Americans are always the last to catch on. They still haven't caught on about the assassination of John F. Kennedy or 9/11 or anything else. But if they do catch on, they're still impotent because the United States Congress and the president and the federal agencies, they respond to money. And one of the principal sources of money is Israel because of all the billions we give them every year, as our new friend pointed out, come back in the form of campaign contributions to purchase our own government. So, and also, of course, the contributions from the military security complex, they're huge. And their interests are, in a way, aligned with Israel because they make money from war and from preparation of war. So we now have the two largest lobby groups in Washington aligned against the United States. And of course, there are others. There's oil, energy, there's big pharma, there's agribusiness. There are a huge number of very powerful groups that determine the behavior of government, and the American voters are the least of them all. They have the least input, the least influence. So I say that as also a way of approaching the question you asked me. Can Israel survive without the United States? Well, we don't see any sign of Israel being without the United States. All the signs we see is we're going to have more of them with the integration of the U.S. and Israeli militaries. People don't seem to know about this because it hasn't been an issue. There's no opposition in Congress to it. There's no opposition from the Trump regime. In fact, they're all in favor of it. The media is unlikely to say anything about it because it offends the wrong interest from which money flows to them. So there's almost silence and ignorance that the United States military is about to be integrated with Israel's. So what this ultimately means is that Israel's causes, Israel's interests, Israel's needs are our causes, our interests, our needs. Well, clearly, there's no separation of the United States and Israel, given the laws that are in the works without opposition. It's not like this opposition to this integration. The CIA, of course, has long been concerned about Israeli spying on American national security, but clearly they've been nullified here. They don't have a voice in this if they're still opposed to Israeli spying. So there's nothing to oppose this. So I think that the Zionist government in Israel is fully aware that they have immense power over the United States government, probably more than any other entity, clearly more than Donald Trump, who's in somewhat of a precarious position. So, and of course, they also know that in the end, they have nuclear weapons. And they know that Iran and everyone else knows this. So far, the Israelis, despite their defeat in the attack on Iran, and despite the American defeat, the Israelis are proceeding ahead. So this shows a kind of confidence that we don't see anywhere else. Clearly, Trump isn't confident. He's so determined to get out of the mess that he was deceived into by Netanyahu. The Iranians seem to be very hopeful of getting out of the mess. They don't want to confront the fact that their existence is inconsistent with Greater Israel. They don't even raise the question. The Iranians who are under attack have never asked, what is this Israeli claim to the Middle East? How can they claim that they have rights to lands in which other countries, other peoples exist? And no one's asked this for the 79 years that Israel has absorbed Palestine. If you go back to 1947 and look at the map, what is now Israel was Palestine. And if you think about it, this Zionist agenda, which originated with what's his name, Herzl. He was he was the originator of Zionism, the notion of creating a country to call back the Jewish diaspora, to pull the people back from where they were scattered in the world to a country. I think he died in 1904. So this agenda is over a century. It's almost a century and a quarter old, and it's held up. I mean, who's had an agenda that long? It can hold up another century or 2 centuries. So the inability of the world, particularly the Arab world and the Western world, to see the determination of the Zionists is inexplicable. How could you not see in this a determined agenda that 2 steps forward, 1 step back? So I think that the Iranians, as I've said before on this program, made a serious mistake when they agreed to a ceasefire. They were on the verge of total victory. And somehow they agreed to let the victory go and agree to a ceasefire, even though they know talking to the United States and talking to Israel is not worth their time. That you can't, they say themselves, we don't trust it. So why do they do it? Why? This is the real question. Why does Iran, which had total dominance on the battlefield against the United States and Israel, decide to go talk to people that they say they can't trust? This is why Israel always wins. People don't oppose them. Even today, after this war that Iran didn't cause, it was caused by Israel, and the United States went along with it. Even after this, Iran conducts tit for tat. Oh, if you strike us, we strike you back. That's not war. There's no, in tit for tat, there's no agenda to win a war. And the Iranians still haven't learned that. So, yes, I think Israel can go it alone. I don't think they'll have to, because, look, when a tiny foreign country has so much power, it can reach into state legislatures in the United States, even in red states like Texas and Florida, and have the state legislatures pass law that the governors sign that if you criticize Israel or participate in a boycott of Israel, you cannot have a state contract and you cannot work for the state. This is enormous power.
Yeah.
They can also reach directly into universities, even Catholic universities, and control the tenure process. Well, no one anywhere has this kind of power but Israel. So yes, they'll they won't be without us. They have us. It's like our new friend said, they got us by the throat.
Yeah.
And so anyhow, that's all I have to say about it. And
Yeah.